Congress and the White House, they're starting to discuss what can and will be done to avoid the so-called fiscal cliff. All this week, Reality Check is taking a look at how the fiscal cliff might just affect your life. Tonight, Ben's investigating what this would mean for businesses, employees, and the unemployed. It's a reality check you won't see anywhere else.
As we began explaining last night, the fiscal cliff is a combination of tax breaks all set to expire at the same time in January. So what makes the situation fairly unusual, though, is that if these tax breaks were not renewed, it would be an incredible number of tax hikes all taking place simultaneously. About 50% of the tax breaks are often called Bush-era tax cuts, the ones of 2001 and 2003, which were renewed by President Obama in 2009. Those are income tax breaks for all Americans. But at issue is whether to allow the breaks for Americans making over $250,000 a year to continue. 20% of the tax increase would come from an end of about 80 tax breaks that are mostly for businesses. Today, President Obama held his first news conference in months, and he laid out a number for new revenue, $1.6 trillion over the next 10 years.
We should not hold the middle class hostage while we debate tax cuts for the wealthy.
So the president is asking for $1.6 trillion in new taxes from the wealthy over the next decade. Now, what the president is asking for specifically is that tax rates will stay the same for every American up to $250,000 a year. Even the highest tax bracket will remain at 35%. But then every dollar over $250,000, well, that will be taxed at a higher rate of 39.6. So for instance, let's say you make $300,000. The first $250,000 is taxed at 35%, the remaining $50,000 at 39.6. That is the argument over the individual tax cuts. But it also affects small businesses that make over $250,000. Keep in mind, not all small businesses, though, are small. Technically, Donald Trump is a small business because small business is defined by size of company, not income of company. Usually a company with fewer than 500 employees. By the way, Trump's main business, the Trump Organization, they have far more employees than 500, but a number of his companies do employ fewer than 500 people, and therefore those qualify as small businesses. About 3/4 of U.S. manufacturers, mostly small ones, use personal rates, according to the National Association of Manufacturers. Their average taxable income is $384,000 a year. Under President Obama's proposal, a sole proprietor would pay about $6,750 more per year in taxes. But there is more they have to worry about because 20% of the tax increases will directly hit businesses. 80 tax breaks, mostly for businesses. One is a tax credit for research and development that will go away. Another lets companies deduct from their income half the cost of large equipment or machinery. So what this means for you? Well, if you're a business owner, things will likely be pretty tough, regardless of what happens. Tax breaks could disappear. Income tax may rise, and there are tax increases with the health care law that will go into effect in 2013 that aren't even part of the fiscal cliff. If you work for someone who owns a small business or a medium-sized business, things could get very tough for you because in the event that taxes rise on your employer, that could mean job losses or larger workloads. And for those of you hoping to get back to work, if taxes go up on businesses, the CBO warns that we will likely go back into recession, that unemployment could quickly jump back up over 9%. Yeah, there's a lot at stake over the next 50 days or so, and that is Reality Check.
Now, we have created a fiscal cliff tax bracket cheat sheet for you in connection with our partners at Simply Money. This is going to help you see just how each of these tax rate changes will affect you. You can find the link to the document at the end of this story, which will be posted in the Reality Check section of our website, fox19.com. Good stuff, Ben.
And again, just to clarify, too, this does not include any of the health care law taxes. Those start going into effect this year, and a lot of questions as to what that looks like. So whether or not businesses start hiring right away remains to be seen.
You're going to hit any of that tomorrow night?
We're going to talk a little bit more about it.